In 1920, the world was beginning to accelerate. The Great War was over, jazz music was spilling from speakers, and the concept of flight, while no longer entirely new, was still viewed to most as a terrifying, impossible feat reserved for men of iron nerves. Amelia Earhart, a Kansas-born girl with a restless spirit and an often disdainful view of societal limits, had already pursued careers in nursing and medicine. But her life fundamentally changed during a 10-minute joyride above Long Beach, California. The plane, a tiny rickety biplane, cost $10, money she desperately scraped together. As the aircraft rattled and climbed, Amelia felt a sensation she later described as a deep, immediate certainty. As soon as I left the ground, I knew I had to fly, she recalled. That single brief flight defined her future, costing her just 1/10 of her life savings at the time, but delivering an infinite return on purpose. Within a year, she had purchased her own plane, a used, bright yellow biplane she nicknamed the Canary. She started breaking altitude records almost immediately, but the real opportunity and the real frustration came in 1928. A group of wealthy patrons wanted to send the first woman across the Atlantic Ocean by air. The chosen plane, the Friendship, needed a crew, and Amelia was selected, not as the pilot, but as the log keeper and the public face. The journey was harrowing. Defense fog and conditions nearly dragged them down into the frigid sea. Upon landing in Wales, Amelia was instantly a global sensation, but she felt like a fraud. Stunting is for the grandstand, but pioneering is for the future, she stated. Determined to carve her own path, she had just been a passenger. She resolved her next flight across the vast and different ocean would be entirely on her own terms. 4 years later, in the pre-dawn hours of May 20th, 1932, Amelia sat alone in the cockpit of her single-engine Lockheed Vega, fueling up on the coast of Newfoundland. The plan was a direct, grueling 2,000-mile solo flight to Paris, 5 years to the day after Charles Lindbergh's historic journey. The air crackled with a combination of icy cold and nervous energy. The flight was an ordeal of elemental forces. Just hours into the flight, heavy, shimmering ice began to coat the wings, dangerously disrupting the airflow and pushing the plane down. She was forced to descend rapidly to warmer altitudes, breaking through the ice but entering a new danger zone. A cracked manifold began spitting along, terrifying flames from the engine cowl. Then the altimeter failed. She was flying blind, battling fire, ice, and mechanical failure, with no reliable way to gauge her height above the endless water. Instead of turning back, Amelia pushed harder. She fought the controls, nursing the damaged engine and relying purely on instinct. Fighting the urge to panic, she aimed for a general eastward heading, clinging to the hope of land. After nearly 15 hours, she finally spotted the green patchwork fields of Northern Ireland. Too low on fuel to reach Paris, she set the plane down hard in a farmer's pasture outside Londonderry. When a stunned farmhand approached her shattered airplane, he asked, "Have you flown far?" Amelia simply removed her flying helmet and smiled. "From America." Her solo crossing galvanized the world. It wasn't just a record, it was a defiant statement of competence and courage at the time when women were still fighting for equality in virtually every field. Amelia became more than an aviator. She became the embodiment of the possible. Her final great ambition was the circumnavigation of the globe near the equator in 1937, a feat far more technically challenging than anything she had attempted before. She undertook this mission not just for herself, but to lay down a path for future transportation. She and her navigator, Fred Noonan, disappeared over the Central Pacific after departing Lae, New Guinea, leaving behind one of history's most unenduring mysteries. But the detail of her final flight are less important than the legacy of her life. Amelia Earhart taught a generation that courage wasn't the absence of fear, but the ability to press on in the presence of it. She shattered the boundaries of the sky, ensuring that the limits of ambition would no longer be dictated by gender, but only by the vastness of one's own imagination.